Hello, friends. I'm Judge Daniel Gaul, and after 34 years on the bench, I have this opportunity to make a retirement video. And I'd like to make it not to call attention to myself, but to thank all of the men and women that I've worked with throughout the years. In terms of statistics, what does a 34-year career as a judge mean? Well, I've handled over 42,000 cases, half of them criminal. Conducted 15,000 arraignments, probably 10,000 probation violations, and hundreds of jury trials. So it's been an eventful, busy, intense job. I've been elected 6 times, thanks to the voters of Cuyahoga County, and I greatly appreciate it. But I agreed to do the video, again, not to call attention to myself, but to call attention to the people who work in this court every day, 24/7, 365. And I'm including the court administrative staff, the sheriff's department, the clerk's office, the jailers, the psych clinic, the prosecutors, the public defenders. We're not going to forget the jurors or our maintenance and housekeeping staff. You see, the Cuyahoga County Justice Center is one of the busiest buildings in Cuyahoga County. The only other building that sees more people on a daily basis is Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. We see thousands of people down here every day, and all of the entities that I just mentioned have worked so hard to see to it that the criminal justice system and the civil justice system in Cuyahoga County works. So I wanted to make this video just to thank them, to thank each and every one of you. Many of you are unsung heroes who contribute much, and you've contributed much to my success. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my bailiff, Mary Jo Simmerly. We've had a rather unique relationship. We've worked together for 44 years, and she was the pleasant voice and the beautiful person who was really the face of the court to so many people. So I'm blessed to have had such a wonderful friend with me all these many years. So as I retire, I feel like the quarterback who's scored the winning touchdown and won the big game. But again, that only happens through the teamwork of the people that I've just mentioned. So, my heartfelt thanks to everyone that's been on my team for the last 34 years. And thanks to all the voters who have elected me all these many years. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve you and the community. Well, I'll tell you, I remember the very first time I was addressed as Judge Gaul. I was walking down St. Clair Avenue, and former Congressman Ed Feehan yelled out of a car, "Hey, Judge," because he heard I was going to get appointed judge. And it's been a real honor. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and I've enjoyed it for many, many years. You know, I think one of the fondest memories is working with the jurors. I exit interviewed every jury, everyone. Maybe there was one jury I missed because of a doctor's appointment, whatever, but I've tried hundreds of cases and I've talked to thousands of jurors. And it pleases me very much that nearly every juror enjoyed their jury experience. They thought that they did something that was very important. They took it quite seriously. And so I'm so pleased that those folks had an insight into the system of justice and came away with a really high opinion. Well, one of the first changes is that there are many more women on the bench, and I think that's a beautiful thing as a father of 2 daughters. Technologically, we've advanced, to the point where, we're really a digital courthouse now. And thankfully, that was completed, before the COVID crisis. So the court's changed and evolved. And I got to give a shout out to Judge Brendan Sheehan. He's our presiding and administrative judge. And he presides over the court with great efficiency, but more importantly than that, he presides over the court with great humanity. He's a super guy, and he's a great leader. And we've had a number of good leaders down here, but that's how this court evolves, because of the great personnel we have working within the system. I miss the people, but I don't necessarily miss the pace, because generally speaking, I would be assigned anywhere between 1,750 cases a year to maybe a low of 1,200 cases a year. But you can do the math and check it out on the website, Google it, whatever. You know, I've probably been assigned 45,000 cases. I stopped counting at 42,000. But that requires an intense pace. And we're not dealing in this court with minor matters. You know, all too often we're dealing with the criminal docket, which can be emotionally challenging. Well, I tell you what, I play a lot of golf, not very good. I do play golf. I try to work out at least every other day, and when the weather gets inclement and it starts to snow, I go to New York and go skiing. You know, part of the difficulty being a judge is that, you know, there's always something at the end of the day that you would have liked to have done, but because of the pace and the priorities, you don't always get it done. And so it's nice not to have to wrestle with that, if you call it guilt or whatever. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, being a judge is a real people business. You know, on any given day, I would probably speak with 100 people, because there are multiple cases, maybe 10 to 20 cases a day, probation violations, sentencing, pleas, and so forth and so on. So it's a real people business. So you have to be comfortable dealing with people. You have to be a good listener. You have to be a good listener, because if you're a good listener, you'll be educated and you can do your job much more effectively. And then the other thing is, to be a good judge, you have to have empathy. You have to identify with people who are suffering. And that includes criminal defendants. You know, my mother used to have a saying, or she taught me, she said, there but for the grace of God go I. And you see so many people involved in the criminal justice system, in large part because of what they experienced as a child: abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Poverty, lack of opportunity. So I think you have to have empathy to do this job well. And you know, because you're dealing with people's lives. You actually have the power of incarcerating them. My best advice to lawyers is to recognize that there are a lot of different roles in the legal profession. Find one that you chime with, find one that you like, and do that. Don't spend time at a job that you don't like. You know, move around, and don't be afraid, you know, to go out on your own. You know, find your niche. As my father would say to me, there's always room for a classy guy. And I think you would expand that to say that there's always room for another classy guy or gal. You know, I think we've pretty much covered it, but I want to once again just thank everyone for the contribution they've made to my successful career. It couldn't have been done without the team that I've had around me, and with all appreciation and respect. God bless to them and their families.